So here the reproductive cells are produced, male reproductive cells by male cells, you call it as sperm cells, and females produce female reproductive cells called as ova or egg cells. So these cells are to be transferred. Fusion should takes place for reproduction. Where the fusion takes place? In case of some animals, the fusion takes place in the environment. Like in frogs, male frog and female frog releases their cells into the water, and in the water the male cell fuses with female and egg is formed in the water. But in most of the cases, higher animals including human beings, fertilization takes place in the body of female. It takes place in the body of female. So the sperm, it has to be transferred to the female's body, and inside the female reproductive system, in the female reproductive system, the fusion of male and female gamete takes place, and the formation of zygote takes place in the female reproductive system. So that is in the body of the female. So there are such arrangements by which in sexual reproduction in humans, the male and female join together. The male passes the sperm cells into the body of the female. The organs are developed in such a way. So when this is done, the formation of the zygote takes place. In the female body, there are such arrangements, there are such organs that is to accommodate this zygote in the female reproductive system till this zygote develops into a baby. So that the whole process is called as pregnancy. So the female body is designed in such a way that it can accommodate the zygote from a very small single cell zygote to a completely grown up baby. Till then, for the period of gestation, 9 months, the zygote till it is developed into completely a baby, the baby is accommodated inside the mother's womb. Such kind of arrangements are done there to provide all the nutrient, water, oxygen, everything to the baby, whatever is needed for the growth of the baby. So such kind of arrangements are done in the female body. So in this way, the organs, the systems, the hormones are designed in such a way that in human sexual reproduction, the male sex cells or the sperm cells are passed to the female body, to the female reproductive system, and inside the system the fusion takes place, and there is a chance of fertilization. If the fertilization takes place, if the male gamete fuses with the female gamete, it leads to pregnancy, and it forms a zygote, and the zygote develops to a baby. If there is no fertilization takes place, then the egg cell is flushed out, released out. That is during a process of that menstruation. So now let us see, the male and female reproductive cells are produced in the reproductive organs systems of male and female in humans. They are different. In case of male reproductive system, if you see the various parts of the male reproductive system, here we see the side view of a male reproductive system. It consists of different parts. Some parts, they help to produce the reproductive cells, and the other parts, they help to pass the reproductive cells into the female reproductive system. Here we can see that in case of male reproductive system, the passage of reproductive cells as well as the urine is same. Urogenital duct this is. So this is the duct which is common for the passage of urine as well as sperm cells. This we can understand by looking at here, that pipe, the duct that is arriving from the urinary bladder is also connected to the same tube which is present in the penis. The same tube is connected to something else inside the scrotal sac. This is the testis. So males have a pair of testes, 2 testes, in which the production of male reproductive cells takes place because of the hormone testosterone. So where are the germ cells are produced here? Male germs are produced in the testis. So these male reproductive cells are collected by this tube called as vas deferens. Here is the tube. This vas deferens collects the male reproductive cells which are called as sperm cells. The sperm cells are added up with some fluid called as semen. The fluid is added by these seminal vesicle as well as prostate gland. So these accessory prostate gland and seminal vesicles, they add up some fluid to the male gametes, sperm cells. Now the sperm cells are added up with some fluid. What is the necessity of the fluid? The fluid consists of nutrients which help the sperm cells to live for a long time. And moreover, the sperm cells, they have to travel all the way through this penis into the female reproductive system, and even in the female reproductive system also they have to move. They are motile. They should go in search of the egg cell and they have to penetrate the egg cell. So they need energy, they need nourishment that is supplied by the semen. So here the semen is added, and these male gametes that are produced in the testis, which are passed through the vas deferens, and which are nourished by this semen, by the seminal vesicles, this material, it passes through the penis, enters the female reproductive system. So these are the various parts of the male reproductive system that help in the production of male reproductive cells, that is the sperm cells. The sperm cell will have a head, middle piece and a tail like this. So now let us come to the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system, it is present in the lower abdomen of the females. It consists of various parts like uterus, fallopian tubes, ovary, vagina. When a girl baby is born, she is born with the ovaries with hundreds of immature eggs, thousands of immature eggs. These immature eggs starts maturing one by one when she attains the maturation, sexual maturation. That means menstruation, when it starts, it indicates that the immature eggs in the ovary are started maturing. So this egg cell is released here. The matured egg cell which is released is captured by this fallopian tubule. So it travels in the fallopian tubule like this. It comes to this place, fallopian tubule. And if any by chance, if a male reproductive cells enters here, then fertilization takes place at this spot. Here you can see in the female reproductive system, 2 ovaries are there, as like in males 2 testes, in female 2 ovaries. So the egg cells may be released either from this ovary or this ovary. For the fertilization, the male gametes must be there in the female reproductive system. How is it possible? How can the male gametes be in the female reproductive system? They are to be introduced into this system. That is done by the male reproductive system. We know that in sexual reproductions, 2 organisms should join together for the transfer of reproductive cells. The males transfer the reproductive cells through the vagina, and here there is a part called cervix at which the uterus is connected. So whenever these sperm cells are released at this position called as vagina, and these sperm cells, they are nourished with the semen, so they take movement in this direction and they enter into the uterus. But in the uterus there is nothing to fertilize because the eggs are present in the fallopian tubule. So these sperm cells, they have to move towards the egg cell which is in the fallopian tubule. So the sperm cells, they move to the egg cell. There the fertilization takes place. Thousands of sperm cells, only one egg cell is released in a month of period, 28 days, not more than that. In females, in a period of 28 days, they are able to release only one egg cell, either by this ovary or this ovary, sometimes alternately, 1 month this ovary, 1 month this ovary. But male gametes, thousands and thousands of male gametes are produced. Of course, it takes very long journey here, and sometimes it may, these male reproductive cells may live for some 48 hours to 72 hours. In this time, if they don't find any egg cell, these male cells get disintegrated. And of course here egg cell is there, but there are no male cells. There is no mating in this period. So in the female body the egg cell is released, but there is no sexual participation here. There is no entry of male gametes in that period. What happens to that egg cell? Whenever the egg cell is released here, in the uterus the walls are thickened with blood cells. That is in the anticipation of pregnancy. If there is no male cell entry here, so there is no sexual participation of this organism. So in such cases, this egg cell will disintegrate, and whatever the blood lining is formed in the uterus, it will be flushed out. That is called as menstruation. So the menstruation takes place in a cycle of 28 days, if there is no fertilization. If once the fertilization takes place, the menstruation stops till the baby is born. The menstruation stops, and here the fertilized zygote is fixed in the uterus and it grows into the baby. So uterus is a bag-like structure which provide all the layers, all the fluids, everything for the growth of the baby. So once if the fertilization takes place, then the menstruation stops. If there is no fertilization, there are no male cells or sperm cells here for fertilization, then whatever the arrangements are made for pregnancy, or all these arrangements, all these lining and everything is flushed out. That is called as menstruation, which happens in a cycle of 28 days. This is observed in the female reproductive system. So here, if the fertilization takes place, we have seen that if fertilization does not take place, then whatever the basic arrangements are done in the uterus, the lining, the thickening of the lining, the formation of mucus, the formation of the blood vessels, everything is released out in a cyclic manner which takes nearly 1 month or 28 days, and this flushing out takes place 2 to 8 days, called as menstruation cycle. But if fertilization takes place, what is that? If fertilization takes place, the embryo, it grows in its size, it fixes in the uterus. The walls of the uterus are lined with blood and mucus. You call it as placenta. So placenta is the material which is rich in glucose and oxygen, which provides glucose and oxygen to the baby for its growth. The necessary conditions are to be provided for the growth of baby, that is achieved by this placenta. So as the embryo grows up into a baby, you can see an umbilical cord is formed. That means from the placenta there is a cord connected to the baby, which provide all the nutrients, oxygen, and which helps in the removal of waste materials and all such. And the total period is called as gestation. Gestation period, it is of 9 months, which takes for the complete development of the baby. Once the baby is developed, the baby takes birth. So the baby which is developed in the uterus, it comes out through vagina, if it is a natural birth. So this is totally controlled by the hormones. So there are two female hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Progesterone plays a major role in providing all the necessary conditions and changes in the uterus for the growth of the baby inside.